Hello, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Shad.
So let's start with your friendship first. You guys met in Calgary. Jean-Claude, can you tell the story of how you first met Will?
I first met Will 8 years ago. I was a soccer coach in U6. So U6, you're not soccer coach really. Trying to get
They're
kids,
5-year-olds, right?
Yes, try to get them to just run in the same direction. So, and we.
You spoke Japanese to my wife.
Oh,
is
yes.
What happens. I didn't know what was going on. My wife's Japanese, and I don't know if he was chatting her up, but Jean-Claude spoke Japanese. You know, how many languages do you speak, Jean-Claude?
About 5.
5.
Wow. Okay, so you both connected over the Japanese there. And Will, it's like something clicked right away. Why do you think you guys became such good buddies?
Well, I'm going to embarrass Jean-Claude because he's an amazing fellow, and he's had an amazing life, and he won't toot his own horn. So I will do it for him. But Jean-Claude escaped from Rwanda just before the killings. Most people having escaped from Rwanda would go somewhere safe. He volunteered with, was it Care International or?
Yes, organization was funded by Care International.
So he went to Somalia, South Sudan, ended up in Canada. Jean-Claude set up a program called Soccer Without Boundaries for refugee children. He was coaching my son. He's won the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal for his work. He's on the Premier's Council on Culture. He's an amazing fellow, and when he invited me to Rwanda, I didn't want to go.
Why did you hesitate at first?
Not out of safety. I knew that Rwanda was secure out of sadness. I think for myself, admittedly, like most Canadians, Rwanda, it's like history stopped in 1994, and in my mind, it was like Rwanda was the genocide. And you do a disservice to a people when you do that. I look at Jewish culture, very layered, nuanced, complex. Jewish culture is not the Holocaust, and Rwandan culture is not the genocide. It's affected by it.
So what changed your mind?
This guy, Jean-Claude, just persistently saying, no, Will, it's beautiful. He's a very persistent guy. And I said, you know what, we're going to go, and Jean-Claude wanted to bring soccer equipment, and he said, you know what, we're going to rent a big SUV, we're going to drive around Rwanda. He said to me, Will, it will be a road trip. And that's the words. But here's the sad part. This is the tragedy. Jean-Claude doesn't drink. It was a road trip without beer. So that was, and it took me 3 weeks. We were traveling. I tried to convince him to drink beer. I couldn't do it.
Humble and persistent. That's describing Rwandans for sure. Jean-Claude, what did you want Will to see about Rwanda?
I've been screaming to people that Rwanda is beautiful. I wanted him to come and see. And despite of genocide, the Rwanda is a beautiful country.
Very hilly, beautiful.
Yes, yeah. It's and beautiful people. I think every Canadian would agree. Anyone who have a Rwandan neighbor, they always wonder how how genocide can happen in Rwanda.
You wanted people to be able to go
yes.
and get to see the culture and the beautiful,
exactly.
beautiful landscape.
Yes.
What's it like for you going back? As Will said, you escaped in 1993. What's it like for you going back, having lost so many family there?
Going back to Rwanda was amazing. It's a sad one part because most of things I know is gone. Things I knew is gone, and however, the Rwanda is becoming a brand new country. It's a stand. There is a hope, and there is a focus. Almost everyone is on the move. Mm-hmm. So it's wonderful to see after disaster. I never think Rwanda will be a country again. I thought it was finished, but it's nice to see that even our neighbors, the country neighborhood, they can't believe. Yes.
And the opportunity to share that with your friend, your Canadian friend, Will.
Exactly.
I'm speaking to Jean-Claude Munyezamu and Will Ferguson. Will won the Giller Prize for his novel 419. Jean-Claude is the founder of nonprofit organization Soccer Without Boundaries. Will's latest book tells the story of their road trip last year through Rwanda, their dry road trip through Rwanda. Will, tell me about your first impressions of Rwanda. What surprised you most?
High altitude, and so it's temperate. It's beautiful. It's lush. It's a very beautiful country, and Rwanda, people either know it as the genocide or as the site for Diane Fossey's research into the mountain gorillas. So Jean-Claude and I went to see the mountain gorillas, and the gorillas in the mist, and there really are gorillas, and there really is a mist. And we climbed 2 hours up. They're habituated. It's very controlled. You get 1 hour with the gorillas, groups of 8. The money from those permits is turned back into the communities in the area. So on our way, as we drove there were new hospitals, new schools. So it's paying, and poaching has ended in Rwanda. But the hardest thing for me, beyond the trek, it was kind of emasculating, because they warn you. They said that the silverback male, when you get there, he's going to beat his chest. Don't panic. It's not aggressive. So I was so psyched. I couldn't wait. We hiked and hiked, and they said, "No, don't look interested in the females." I said, "Okay, I won't look interested in the females." I got that. He just wants to establish his dominance. We got there. The silverback was chewing on wild celery. He saw me. He stood up, and Shad, it was the most half-assed chest beat I've ever seen. He went thump, thump, whatever. I was no threat to him at all. So that was a little disconcerting to be so disregarded by gorillas. So the mountain gorillas alone are worth going. But the country from Lake Kivu to the savannah, it's a very small country with a lot of variety. So I think that's what surprised me, was just the sheer beauty of the country.
I've done that gorilla trek as well. It's pretty amazing.
What chest beat did you get, man?
Oh, I got a blood-curdling scream.
Man.
I got a good chest. And it charged at me. You know, they tell you it might charge and then stop about 5 feet from you. Just don't panic.
He barely got off his ass
easy.
with me. He barely raised up. He just raised one cheek up, and then went, "Oh, man, I got ripped off."
A little one grabbed my arm, actually.
Really?
Which was
the babies they're
scary.
adorable.
Yeah. Now, understand, Jean-Claude, you're an important character in Will's book. What was that like for you, being a character in Will's story?
Was a kind of dangerous. He almost got me into trouble.
Did he get you right? Did he?
Yes, and he also was sneaking behind my back and talking to people who knew me when I was a kid. And in a university town, they thought he was the son of Alex Ferguson.
Yes, I heard that.
And, I got in trouble because I didn't want him to sign an autograph.
But it was an honest mix-up, though. I have to say, it was an honest mix-up.
You're visiting the university town, which is Butare.
Yes.
And they mistook you for a soccer star.
Well, Rwandans love, as Jean-Claude loves soccer, they love English Premier League. Everyone knows Alex Ferguson, legendary manager of Manchester United. Manchester, how little I know. He's a legendary figure. I don't know soccer. I grew up in a soccer-free zone, northern Alberta, and I named my son Alex. Just coincidence. So when I was getting a receipt for a book I bought. Jean-Claude was, you were at the bank, I think, changing money?
Yes.
And so he wrote out a receipt. He asked me my last name. I said, Ferguson. He said, like Alex Ferguson. I said, no, but my son is named Alex Ferguson.
Okay.
When we went back to our vehicle, well, Jean-Claude can tell you, there was a crowd of people with camera. They wanted my autograph. You can tell them what happened, because Jean-Claude...
When I came out of bank, I saw, oh my God, did Will try to drive? So I thought he ran over someone. So there was a huge crowd on the vehicle, and I saw was no hostile. And the guy came and said, he saw that I was a driver. So he said, okay, is this guy Alex Ferguson's son? I said, okay. What Will did tell these people? So I went and pulled Will on the side and said, okay, did you say you are son of Alex Ferguson? He said, no. I say my son is Alex. So anyway, we said, okay, what are we going to do? So, okay, can you sign
Jean-Claude wanted me to sign autographs. He said, just sign the autographs, take a photo.
So I told him to sign a few autographs.
But then we got worried because it ended up in the newspaper.
Yeah, and it could end up in the newspaper. You include a lot of funny moments like this in the book, Will. Why was that important to you?
Well, I think road trips are inherently fun. Even if the person you're having a road trip doesn't drink beer, which I forgive, I'm past that. Road trips are inherently fun. Travel is fun. It's a way of engaging, getting out of your element. And the genocide casts a huge shadow over Rwanda. So I don't deny that. The book deals with it. But there's more to Rwanda than just the genocide. I should also point out, I have a personal connection to Rwanda, like you, Shad.
Okay.
Not quite as direct, but I'm the descendant of the explorer David Livingstone. So I'm a descendant, and David, yes, it sounds impressive, except that he died penniless, with no money. So there's no rich Livingstone estate, as I discovered. So he went looking for the source of the Nile. He disappeared into Africa for years. He never found it. He died in Africa. The source of the Nile, and this is true, it was only located in 2006. That's how long it took. The greatest water catchment is Lake Victoria. The furthest south is Burundi. But the farthest reach of water is in Rwanda. So Jean-Claude and I went there. It's in a national park, fortunately. I don't know why David Livingstone had such a hard time finding it. There's a sign and everything. There's an arrow and a sign. So he wasn't a great explorer. But Jean-Claude and I went there, and I drank. It's this majestic puddle. It's about the size of this, smaller than this table that we're sitting at right now. It's just a puddle, a spring up in the mountains, but it's clean water. So I drank the source of the Nile as an heir to Livingstone in proper British fashion.
That's one site I haven't visited in Rwanda. I'll have to check
It's
that
epic
out.
trek. You'll need porters and machetes to clear the way. There's a path with stairs and an arrow, so it's anticlimactic.
Lots of humor in this book, but also there's some poignant moments. Of course, you can't escape the fact that this country has been through the worst. Jean-Claude, what was the most poignant moment of the trip for you?
For me, is two things. One is being to the Bridge of Freedom, the bridge that I crossed going to Tanzania.
In 1993.
In 1993. Also, another one was when we visited the school in Inyange. This school. At Rusumo, I remembered, I was amazed at how I was very close to not crossing that bridge. However, when I went back to Nyange, seeing how these children, there is one memorial there of one student where they refused to separate themselves when they were attacked. And this is moment I understood that in Rwanda, this cycle of violence is broken. It's going to be a very hard time for someone introducing ethnic violence again in Rwanda.
That was the moment you realized the cycle
Yes.
was broken.
Yes.
And I should explain, Nyange School, they broke in there. Hutu power militias broke in and told the students to separate. We want Hutu on the right, Tutsis on the left. And they knew what was going to happen. They were going to kill the Tutsis. And the students, it was a mixed class, and they refused to separate. So they threw a grenade. They shot one student. Marie Chantal was her name. She stood up and said, "We won't do it. There's no Hutu. There's no Tutsis. We are just Rwandans." And so they shot two students. They threw a grenade. 6 students died, and several were wounded for life because they refused to separate themselves. And Jean-Claude and I went there, and it really is a moving place to visit.
Is that the image that sticks in your mind?
As well, yeah. The most poignant. For Jean-Claude and I both, we were very quiet after that. We were quite chatty on the road, but after we left there, it was... And the strange thing is you walk into this classroom, that classroom is still being used. They're speckled from the grenades and the shotgun or the weapons, and 6 people died there, but you don't feel sad. You feel there's this kind of hope in that room.
There's a lot of hope in this book.
I hope so.
What gives you the most hope, Jean-Claude?
What gave me the hope is the way Rwanda is a young country. Majority of people are under 25. It's people who never carry identity of Hutu and Tutsi. And also, was one university in the country when I left. Today, there's more than 13 universities. And the dream of every kid is getting education. So everybody has something to lose into that country if something goes wrong. So this has given me hope.
Well, you're both welcome with my parents. I'm volunteering them. If you ever make it back, you can stay with them.
Oh, great. And we're going to take... You made that on air. So
I made that
holding
offer
you
on
to that.
air. Yeah, I'll just send them the
Did you
clip.
tell your parents? Do they know that you offer their room? Their
They'll find
couch
out
to
soon
crash
enough.
on?
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.